Decontamination procedures. So whenever we are working in a radiation environment, there is a possibility that the surface of that area or the cloth of that particular person or the skin of that particular individual will get contaminated by that radioisotopes. So we need to know by which way we can decontaminate that particular things. So first one, so contamination of a person or laboratory area and equipment is an important problem faced by everyone working in radioactive isotopes. First one, decontamination of skin. The skin will get decontaminated based on the extent of contamination. For a low contamination, generally we are thoroughly washing the skin with a soap and water within 2 to 3 minutes using mild pure soap with a good lather. Paying particular attention to the outer edge of hands, fingernails and in between fingers. If it is heavy contamination, then we spread a freshly prepared paste of titanium dioxide and lanolin over these affected areas. Keep it for 2 minutes and then rinse it with warm water and wash thoroughly. For a very heavy contamination, we are pouring a liquid mixture of potassium permanganate and 0.2 normal sulfuric acid over wet hands. Rub that entire area using hand brush for 2 minutes. Rinse with warm water and apply 5% sodium acid sulfite solution. Wash with water, soap and brush and rinse thoroughly. Decontamination of cloth. Depending on contaminants, garments are divided into 3 classes, class A1, 2 and 3. Class 1 is for those clothes whose dose are less than 1000 ppm, that is counts per minute. Then we just follow normal laundry procedures. If it is a class 2 where dose lies between 1000 to 10,000 ppm, then initially we follow 2 hot rinsing, then hot solution of 3% citric acid treatment, washing, then again hot rinsing, hot suds, hot rinse, hot 1.5% citric acid wash, later 3 times hot rinsing, hot water rinsing, then cold water rinsing, and once again just verify the amount of radiation emitted, that is a monitoring process, and if it is found still radiation is coming, then repeat this particular procedure. If it is a class 3 category whose dose is more than 10,000 ppm, then we will follow this procedure as same as class 2, just it is repeated till dose will become minimum. Decontamination of rubber gloves, rubber goods. First it is washed with soap suds and hot water. And for more effective cleaning, it is washed with dilute nitric acid followed by scoring powder and through rinse in running water. Dry it on a paper towel. Decontamination of laboratory surface and glassware. Initially, to reduce the contamination, the tools and other equipments should be made in non-porous metal tray or pan. Here the use of wood is avoided because wood surface is porous. We will cover the tray with the disposable paper and that paper should be changed frequently. Auxiliary containers, blotters and covers should be used where there is a possibility of spillage. Contaminated equipments or materials should be isolated in designated area in a laboratory or the storage places and labeled temporarily. Next, the ceramic and rubber tiles are used on a floor, vinyl covered table or curved edges to remove corners in the roof. Decontamination procedures on the surface. The paint surface is decontaminated by using water, detergent, complexing agent, organic solvent, aberration method. So depending on the nature and extent of contamination, we choose a proper method. The glass vase will be decontaminated by using detergent or reagent method, again depending on nature and extent of contamination. Metal surface is decontaminated by using water, detergent, organic solvent, complexing agent, inorganic acid mixture, aberration method depending on nature and extent of contamination. Concrete or brick decontamination will be done by aberration method. Generally, we prefer to use non-corrosive method first. If it is not getting decontaminated, then only we go with corrosive methods. Maximum permissible exposure dose. So every living being have a certain limit to tolerate the radiations, and specifically in human body, each part of the body is sensible to a particular radiation at its particular limit. Each person can experience on an average around 155 to 160 millirem REM per year. Out of that, 70 to 80% are natural radiation. Human body has a repairing mechanism to reverse the damage caused by ionizing radiation, and it is effective up to 160 millirem per year. Workers, those are working in nuclear industry, experiences high dose of around 5000 millirem per year. The blood producing organs and reproductive organs are sensitive for these ionizing radiations, so such organs must be protected carefully from radiation exposure. Pregnant woman doesn't allow to experience high dose of radiation as the fetus is very much sensitive to the radiation. The annual maximum permissible dose limits are as mentioned in the slide. Nuclear waste management. So the nuclear waste, whatever is generated, it has to be disposed properly. So there involve three basic principles of radioactive waste management. The first one is the dilute and disperse method. Here, this particular method is used for the waste which is coming from radiotherapeutic and X-ray treatment hospitals, which primarily possesses extremely low radioactivity. Here radioactive waste is much diluted with water and then safely disposed in water streams like river. Second method is delay and decay method. This method is used for short-lived radionuclides. Here radioactive waste is buried under the soil. Third one is a concentrate and contain method. This method is used for long-lived radionuclides. Here radioactive waste is concentrated and filled in a steel container which is sealed with concrete box, and it is then buried in a depth of a soil. Radioactive waste storage. So storage of these radioactive waste is very, very important. So following points need to be considered during this. The first one, the liquid waste and solid waste should be stored separately. Second, each radioisotope should be stored separately. And if we want to mix, we should see that both the radioisotopes should have same half-lives. Otherwise, store them separately. The container of these radioactive waste should be tightly sealed, and it should be labeled as the contained date and radiation level. The container should be kept in a proper storing conditions, and care should be taken to avoid any spillage of the waste and cause any accident. Radioactive waste disposal procedure. Radioactive disposal procedures will be followed depending on physical states of waste. For a solid waste, initially, for solid waste is reduced or concentrated by compactation. Further, its treatment is done based on the level of activity. If radioactive waste has a short-lived activity, then directly it is put in shallow earth trenches. If it has higher radioactivity and longer half-life, then it is put in RCC trenches and it is buried under the soil. If it has highly radioactive and very long half-life, then it is first put it in concrete trenches and then further it is covered with adequate thick concrete. And these all trenches, depending on its activity level, these trenches of solid waste, it is stored within plant premises, and the location of these waste yards is selected by investigating the soil, investigating geochemical features of that particular site, and also by observing whether there is nearby underground water or no, the decision will be taken. Second is disposal of gaseous waste. This generally we get it from ventilated air in a radioactive isotope research lab. The decontamination is took place using installed scrubber, charcoal filter or absolute filter. Nowadays we are preferring to use high efficiency particulate filters which can remove radioisotopes more effectively around 99.97%. Whenever we use activated charcoal filter, it is commonly used to remove effectively volatile radioisotope waste of iodine 131, 133 and 129. Disposal of liquid waste. The liquid waste is a mobile in nature, so it needs to be stored carefully and managed efficiently. The treatment of these liquid waste depends on the category of liquid radioisotope waste. There are three categories of liquid waste: low level waste, intermediate level waste and high level waste. Low level waste, it includes negligible amount of short-lived waste. It generally forms in medicine, research and industry. Here radioisotope liquid waste, that is a liquid water, gets chemically precipitation and ion exchange treatment to remove waste, and then this treated water is discharged in a water bodies like river after adequate dilution. Means after treatment, whatever water we get, it is diluted, and by reducing the activity, it is sent to the river. During this chemical precipitation and ion exchange treatment, the solid sludge whatever we get, it is fixed in cement matrix and disposed of as a solid waste. Second category is intermediate level waste. It has a low level radioactivity and it is formed in a nuclear fuel processing plant. Here radioisotope liquid waste is removed by using ion exchange resin, and during this the radioactive solid waste is disposed in bitumen matrix. The third category is high level waste. It includes high level radioactivity generally seen in spent fuel. The liquid waste is concentrated and then stored in a stainless steel vessel. The vessel is surrounded by concrete shield and cooled with water if it is required. The reference for these parts is Essentials of Nuclear Chemistry by Arnikar, Nuclear Chemistry by UN Dash, Nuclear and Radiation Chemistry by D.K. Sharma. Thank you.